think everybody kind of felt that something was going to happen, especially everything that happened in Boston. It was just a kind of a matter of time. If we didn't start playing well, then something was going to happen. I mean, that's just kind of how sports works. That kind of how the game works.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. When you have that many guys that are going through it at the same time, and it's just not a good showing.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to MVP Baseball. Listen, I don't even know where to start right now because the Major League Baseball is officially in chaos. We just saw the Phillies fire their manager. We got teams that were supposed to be contenders completely falling apart. We got executives around the league calling out the biggest surprises and disappointments. And somehow, someway, with all that, these teams might still not be out of it. So today, we're breaking down everything. Phillies meltdown, league-wide surprises, and why this season might be way more open than people think. Let's get into it. All right, we got to start here because this is insane. The Phillies just fired Rob Thomson. Let me repeat that. They fired a manager who had the best winning percentage in franchise history, .568. That's not normal. That's not a bad manager. That's a winning manager. And this man took them to the playoffs 4 straight years. Even made a World Series, and he still got fired. Why? Because they started the season 9-19. And somebody had to take the fall. That's what this is. This is a message. This is ownership saying we are not accepting this. Now you bring in Don Mattingly as interim manager, and that's a big name. That's not just a random replacement. That's a guy with experience. That's a guy you bring in when you're trying to stabilize something fast. But let's be real. This isn't just about the manager. This team is broken right now. They lost 10 straight games. They released Taijuan Walker. They already cut Nick Castellanos earlier this year. They're literally paying guys millions to not play. That's how bad it's gotten. And here's the scary part. Executives flew in to evaluate the team. That never happens this early. That means panic. That means emergency. That means this thing is bigger than just a slow start. And I'm sitting here as a Mets fan like, yo, if the Phillies are doing this, what are we about to do? Because let's be honest. If you line up expectations, the Mets and Phillies were in the same tier coming into the season. And now one team is firing their manager. So what does that mean for the rest of the league? Now, this is where it gets interesting because MLB executives were polled, and what they said tells you everything about this season. Let's start with surprises because this is where the league flipped upside down. The biggest surprise, the Pirates. Yeah, the Pirates. They're 16-13. They got one of the best run differentials in the National League, and they went from one of the worst offenses to top 5 in runs scored. That's not luck. That's a real turnaround. Then you got the Reds, 18-10 start, elite pitching, bullpen locking games down. Even with hitters struggling, they're still winning. That's dangerous. And then the team nobody's talking about enough, the Braves. They are dominating. Best ERA in baseball, most runs scored, and somehow nobody's making noise about them. That's scary because when the Braves are quiet, that usually means they're really good. Now let's flip it because this is where things get ugly. The biggest disappointment in baseball, the Mets. Yeah, that's what executives are saying. Overwhelming vote. And honestly, I get it. This team is too talented, too expensive to be playing like this. 12-game losing streak, injuries, lineup not clicking. Everything feels off. Then you got the Red Sox. They already fired their manager too. That tells you everything. Bottom offense, pitching struggling, no identity. And then the Phillies, which we already talked about. So think about this. 3 teams that were supposed to be contenders are all falling apart at the same time. That's not normal. Now, this is the most important part of this video because this changes everything. This is something called the forgiveness factor. And this is why the season is not over. We are in the expanded playoff era. More teams make the playoffs, more opportunities, more chaos. Let me give you examples. The Astros started 7-18 one year and still won their division. Multiple teams under 500 after 25 games still made the playoffs. Even teams under 500 halfway through the season still made runs. When we look at teams like the Mets, Phillies, Red Sox, Astros, and Royals, yes, they look bad right now, but they are not dead. Their playoff odds drop, but they're still alive, and that's the key. So as a Mets fan, yeah, this sucks right now, but the season is not over, not even close, because all it takes is one hot streak, one turnaround, one moment, and everything changes. So now I got to ask you, who do you trust more to turn it around? The Phillies with a new manager, the Mets trying to figure it out, or another team completely flying under the radar? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you made it this far, hit that like button. Subscribe to MVP Baseball. And we're going to keep breaking down everything happening around the league because this season is just getting started. See you guys on the next one.